Hey guys, what's up? Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on. We haven't done a video in quite some time, and this week I'm actually going to hop back into doing more regular videos for the year. I want to get a lot more videos out. One of the big things is we're making some progress on this car. You can kind of see the place is a mess. We got a lot of different projects going on. This car needs to get done. However, once I get to a certain point with this, there's some things that I will not be doing, like wiring. I'm actually gonna have the car rewired, engine harness. We're gonna do a body harness too. I'm waiting on some approvals on some stuff within the car from Grid Life itself. Check the rules. I don't see why it shouldn't be a problem. I will let you know once we get to that point. But yeah, so let me give you an update on what we've already done, and then some things that are going to be changing. And then coming up, we're going to be doing a few things. This car, we're going to be doing some more work on the MR2. My silver car, we're actually going to get that car together, because what's happening is we're taking the suspension off this car and you're going to throw it on the silver car for right now. Working with some companies on possibly even turning chassis. I'm calling it chassis number 2. Into a car that I can use competitively as well, but a little bit more on the streetable side. So that car would be possible to drive back and forth to the track for like a track night, or even doing some autocross events, which would be a lot of fun. So I'm not trying to go as crazy with that car, but it's going to be taking some of the stuff off this car that never intended on being as crazy. Or I should say the placeholder parts, I'm calling them, on this car are going to go in the silver car, even though the silver car's got a lot better suspension even on it now. Suspension components, I should say, not the coilovers on it. So we'll get to that soon enough, but let me show you what we've already done on this car. So one of the things we started working on, I'm gonna pop in a quick video real quick here of this getting prepped and show you what we did. So you can see that I ended up sanding this whole thing down, then priming it, and then what we ended up doing is using a bed liner on it. And we haven't done the inside of the wheel well yet, which needs to get done. I'm gonna probably do a little bit more clearancing for the wheels and tire setup. This side was finished, but still has a little bit of touch up to do, and we got to take the suspension off because the coilover, I'm adjusting them a little bit more. You can see on these down here, the way that the front one that's already mounted is like this, and it has the bracket hovering over the threads. Now, Fortune Auto says you can do that. I prefer it to be on the cup, on the bottom. You can see that it just seems like it's giving it more support. And lastly, a project that, you wouldn't think is that big of a deal, but it's actually kind of a big pain in the butt, to the point where every single company that makes them recommends you have a professional do it. So that is the sunroof plug. Okay, so we had removed the sunroof. Sunroof's over here. You can see it is a heavy piece with a lot of components on it. There's a motor, there's glass, there's tracks, there's all sorts of stuff that goes into having a sunroof. It took about 40 pounds off the car, which is huge. It's super significant. Now, having a one-off, if you will, it's not one-off. This company makes these, but they don't make them. They're not just a machine pumping these out. This is a guy who puts these together. A company called JPR Auto. Shout out to them. No sponsorship, but I like to give the little guys sometimes. They're big into drag racing, so the drag racers all know. He makes these. There's another company called Dogfight. You all heard of that, I'm sure, if you're into the Honda world at all. But I think I did a pretty good job. The fitment is pretty spot on. You can see that there is a little bit of a bow. I don't think I would ever do this for just a street car, just to say I have a carbon fiber sunroof plug. What I'd probably do is the entire roof skin. Now, we're not allowed to do that because of class rules. I'm sure that'll probably change because it's a weight restricted class. So that little bit of sunroof or roof, you could see, if I just replaced, which I had, the roof, it's such a small piece. It's not going to be a massive amount of weight, but you are moving the weight down to the bottom, which is where you'd really like getting it off the top of the car. So what you have to end up doing is getting this fitted. Now, the only thing that I'll show you that I did that might have been a little bit of a mistake, again, I don't know because I didn't do it. I never plan on doing this again. When it was installed, I installed 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side, and then started bolting it to the front. Now, what I'd probably recommend, because you could see the seam here, the gap was a lot bigger, I'd probably start by bolting it to the front. And that way it would kind of, and then heat this up, mold it a little bit more to the front of the car. And then you can see in the back, the space is so tight, you would have a little bit more of a gap, but the gapping would be a little bit more even. Again, if you're probably doing this on a street car, I also didn't do the best job on that side. I could have thrown another bolt in the center of that, or 2 bolts, and got that lifted a little bit because you could see all the way around the fitment's a little bit better. But again, race car, this might even get a wrap over it. So you will see, you know, where there's uneven parts on this, or we might just wrap it around this so you could still see the carbon fiber, but it might hide everything else a little bit better. You can see the bolts on the inside that we did. And then in the rear, I just did 3 rivets to hold it in. The rear metal coming off the roof is much thinner, and putting a bolt through that's almost impossible. You'd almost have to put it up on such an angle that you wouldn't be able to get a nut on it anyway. So what I ended up doing was, as a one-man band here, using a floor jack and a pole to kind of push this sunroof into place, and it came out pretty good. Like I said, I'm very happy with it for a first time. Didn't have to pay anybody to do this, which would have probably cost hundreds, if not, you know, $1,000 to have somebody install that, just due to time. And if they were really trying to do a really good job, you never know. So getting some progress on this car done. A few of the things, like I said, I want to get that done. I want to get the suspension all replaced, and then the interior done, but I'm waiting on that approval stuff. And then once that's done, I'm going to send it off up the street to get this quarter panel fixed. It's unnecessary, but one of the things that I'm trying to do is have a nice presentable race car in the beginning of the year this year. We're going to be taking the front windshield out. I'm undecided if we're going to go with a Lexan or we're going to put put this windshield back in with all new moldings. But my goal is to make a much more presentable car for sponsors, and just so it's a nice looking car. I know it's going to get some more damage and that sort of stuff during the season. It's inevitable. It just happens. Going off track, trailering, all that good stuff. It's hard to keep a race car looking perfect, but I want this to be as presentable as possible this year. And I think last year we had a cool looking race car. This year it's going to be awesome. Talking to some new sponsors. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this year. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, this video is just a little bit more of a quick update for you guys on some of the projects that I've just done. I'm going to do the suspension video where we install the Fortunato 520s, soup to nuts. We got a new sway bar setup coming in, and we're replacing a lot of the suspension components too. So be excited for this car to get finished, and we're also going to be working on the silver car and the MR2 coming shortly. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.